What's up, everybody? This is Chaz Skelly with the Way Too Late Fight Breakdown. I'm going to run through and give you guys kind of a little breakdown on what I think is going to happen in the fights tonight. Tonight we have the Sao Paulo card, UFC, I don't even know, UFC Sao Paulo, I guess. I don't know. But pretty good card. I went through, looked at a lot of the fights. There's some interesting fights on this card. I like to do a more in-depth breakdown usually. Today I just started watching some film on these this morning, so I didn't really get too much time. I don't care about your bets. I'll look at the odds, I'll tell you the odds and then what I think, but if you lose a bet, don't come to me crying, I don't care. So be smarter with your money. So I'll get started. One thing about these, when I'm doing these fight picks, I am just tired of these, dorks coming on here and talking shit about fighters. They come on, they do their little breakdowns, people that have never been in the cage. I'm not saying you have to have been in the cage or you have to have fought in order to know what you're talking about fighting. You could have watched fighting and have a good concept, but I just can't stand seeing these people talk about how horrible fighters are, how bad this person is, or how bad that person is, and they have no idea. It's like, have no idea what it's like to be in there and be getting hit, and wanting to do something but just not being able to. It's difficult. So I want to start doing my own fight breakdowns. I'll do it weekly. I will probably post them either on Saturday or Friday or Saturday every week. It'll just be the Way Too Late fight breakdowns. We'll be looking at the odds right before it happens and just rolling from there. So here we go. I will start with what betonline.ag has as the first fight up. It's Cauê Fernandes versus Mark DeCasey. So Fernandez, what I have down with him is that this guy, so when I watch this film, I look at Fernandez as somebody he's got great kicks. He overextends a little bit on his jab. I think that's something that DeCasey could really exploit if he takes a step back or just looks to counter over the top with, when this guy throws a jab, he kind of really overextends and he brings his jab hand back low. I think DeCasey would do really well to keep this in boxing range. DeCasey likes to kick and he likes to wrestle, but if I'm DeCasey in this fight, I am, looking to box here. I'm looking to stay in that boxing range. If I am Fernandez, I'm looking to be all the way in or all the way out. What I mean by that is Fernandez does a really good job at throwing a high kick off of his clinch. He throws really good strikes off of the clinches. I think DeCasey's going to have a pretty good speed advantage. I think DeCasey's going to have a good boxing advantage. I think that Fernandez could do well with kicks. He's got good body lock takedowns, so he needs to be either at kicking range or in the body lock. That's just my opinion. So do with it what you like. Now, will he get the takedowns in there? I don't know. DeCasey's got pretty good wrestling. DeCasey's fight IQ is not always the best. He doesn't always have the best output also. This is a risky one. It looks like right now DeCasey's minus 189. Fernandez is at plus 164. The over-under's at 2.5. Minus 170 over 2.5. Plus 140 under 2.5. So Fernandez has good jiu-jitsu, good grappling. It looks like off of his back he does good stuff. He chains stuff together. DeCasey likes to go for takedowns. He likes to be on top. I give the grappling advantage to Fernandez, honestly. So I think if it goes to the ground, Fernandez has a little bit more of an advantage. If I'm DeCasey, I keep it standing. I just think the speed advantage and the boxing advantage is going to play in his favor. I'm actually going to stay away from this one as far as betting is concerned. I'd like to see Fernandez against good competition. I'd like to see him in the UFC a little bit. Can't help you out there. I can tell you, if you think that DeCasey is going to keep it standing, you think he's going to keep it in boxing range, that'd be my guy. He comes over the top of the jab really well, actually, and I think that would be his, kind of one of his keys to victory is just coming over top of that jab. If it goes to the ground, I think he's going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. I think he has the better double leg, single leg, stuff like that, takedowns, but I like Fernandez in the body lock. Fernandez got a pretty good pretty good body lock. Casey's a little more athletic, so I'm staying away. Do with it what you will, but we will go to the next one. Montserrat Ruiz versus Eduarda Mora. Let's see what I have here. I have Eduarda Mora by decision or submission. This fight is the fight where, listen, whoever gets the takedowns wins this fight. Whoever ends up on top is going to end up winning this fight. Ruiz only seems to look for a head and arm when it comes to takedowns. You know, it can work. It works. It seems to work. Females seem to like it a lot more, and I'm not saying anything negative. I love female fighting, but not a lot of guys go for head and arms, and a lot of girls do go for head and arms, and they seem to work a little better with females, and for whatever reason, I don't know. But Ruiz really likes the head and arm. I don't like the head and arm. I'm going to go with the wrestler that shoots actual takedowns, that shoots double legs, single legs, looks to get on top and pressure well. I'm going with Mora for a decision or submission. The next fight is Angela Hill versus Denise Gomes. All right, so Angela Hill is actually a plus 118. Gomes is a minus 138 here. This is an interesting one. This is a very interesting fight. I'm really looking forward to this fight, to be honest with you. So what I have with Hill is Angela Hill. You know, I've watched all of her fights. She's a veteran. She's been around for a while. She throws punches in bunches. She does really good when she's moving forward and throwing punches. In the clinch, I think that this is going to be a factor in this fight. In the clinch, she does a really good job at shoulder fighting and head fighting with head position. So I think that's going to be a factor in this fight. She's been coached up well in the clinch there to keep from getting taken down. She needs to be throwing her jab. She needs to be putting her jab out there and setting things up off of it. Another great thing that I really, really like about what Angela Hill does, and I think it's really going to serve her well in this fight, is that she climbs the tree really well with her punches. And what I mean by that is she'll start to the body, like say she throws a right hook to the body, and then she'll come to the head with a left, and she'll throw a combination to the head. So what that does is it starts setting up her feints, because if she's dropping her elevation to punch to the body, you don't really know if she's dropping her elevation for a shot or not, because she does like to shoot that. She does like to shoot a single leg in there, try and run the pipe real quick. She doesn't have the best takedowns, but she throws them out there, which in mixed martial arts, that sets up a lot of things for your striking. Just to show the takedown sometimes can be enough to set up your striking. Then when they think, oh, you're not actually going to go for a takedown, then you shoot a takedown, you run the pipe real quick, you get on top. I think Angela Hill is going to do enough mixing it up to win this fight. I do have Angela Hill by decision based on volume alone, but I will say one thing. Gomes is a dog. She is excellent, and I do think that she actually has the tools in the toolbox to win this fight. I think that if she continuously keeps Angel on her back foot, cuts her off, and keeps high volume, I think that she could win this fight. She does like the clinch. She likes the body lock, but she's so sloppy with it. Like, she pulls people back on top of her. I don't like her body lock work. I think that even if she gets Angela down, Angela can get back up, and I think volume is going to be key here. Now, one thing I will say, this girl hits very hard. So, our woman hits very hard. Look for that overhand right. If she lands that overhand, she could put Hill down. Hill's been put down before with it. I think even in her last fight, maybe right at the very beginning, but this lady hits hard. She just has a sloppy clinch, and the way that she moves forward, the way that she pushes forward is kind of sloppy. I think that once she starts, because she kind of does that like running old school. What's that? Vitor Belfort, like that running forward punches with the opposite hand, opposite step. I think that one jab stops that, though. I think that if she comes forward like that and Angel Hill really just stops her with a jab, I think that stops that forward motion. I think Angela Hill is going to do that, actually. And I think that she wins the striking exchanges for the most part. As long as she doesn't get caught, I think she wins the decision here. So there's my prediction on that. Next fight, Vitor Petrino versus Modestas Bukauskas. Hope I'm saying that right. I don't know. So this is a crazy one. This is a tough one to call. Because when you look at Petrino, very talented guy, extremely strong, physically gifted. I really, the guy is just built like a brick shit house. It's, there's nothing else to say about it. He does gas a little bit, his gas tank, because he throws everything in his punches, and he likes to grapple. So, I don't think the guy doesn't necessarily have like a wrestling background, I don't think, but he loves takedowns. He's strong enough to get the takedowns. Once he locks his hands, it's over. He'll lift you. He'll take you for a ride. The guy's a very talented, very athletic athlete. He's strong. His problem is he has zero head movement. And I'm not one to talk. I got zero head movement too. I get punched in the face a lot. Listen, not talking shit. I'm just calling it as I sees it. And he has negative head movement. You could throw anything out there and you're going to punch him. He has no head movement, and he keeps his hands crazy low. He just puts his hands down by his waist and throws straight from his hips. It's playing with fire in the UFC. You got these guys, and you're just fighting guys that hit hard, and some of these guys are very technical. Eventually, I think that's going to be a real issue for him. Right now, he's getting away with it because he hits so hard. He doesn't need a great gas tank for the most part. He's putting people away. Good for him. I wish I had those skills in my pocket. Unfortunately, I got to just hug people, take them down, get their back if I can. It is what it is. But, so, his jiu-jitsu is also limited. That's another thing. He's good on top. He's got good top pressure, but his jiu-jitsu is limited. His finishes are limited. Having said that, I did win a ton of money on him by submission in his last fight because I just saw that going that way, and I got lucky. But he also can be taken down in the clinch. He also can be taken down. In his last fight, he gave up his back in his last fight, trying to get back up or whatever. He has a cardio issue. All right. So, Bukauskas, we'll move on. Bukauskas, the one thing I really like about this guy is that he has a very fast 1-2. Like, boom, boom. He hits it really fast. He starts a little bit slow, it seems like. Another thing, he switches stances. But when he switches stances, he doesn't throw a lot from southpaw. He throws a lot from his traditional stance. When he's in his southpaw, though, what he does, in his last fight against, I think he fought maybe Tyson Pedro, he didn't get to land this, but I know what he was looking for. I could see it. I could see it in his face. I could see it by the way he was loading up. He was going to his left stance, and he was kind of just pulling out, and then he was switching stances back to his right-handed stance. Sorry, I think I got a booger in my nose right now. Jeez. He was switching back to his right-handed stance, and he was creating space, hoping that Pedro would fill that void, and then he was looking to throw a right hand. Fighting's all about space and filling that space, and leaving space and filling that space, and how you fill that space, creating angles in that space, And I think what he was trying to do is draw him into punching range, and then throw his right hand, and Pedro just wasn't following him. What I think could happen in this fight, I think this is a fight where if he switches to his left hand, he paws something out, switches back to his right hand. What's his name? Petrino might actually follow him in, and he can land a right hand. And you can land anything on Petrino, it seems like, but he's going to be firing back. And he hits really hard. He's got a good. Bukauskas also has a good check left hook. But one thing about him is he absolutely falls in love with his 3-2. He starts with his lead left hook and then throws a right hand. It'll land. It's a great combination. I love it. Everybody loves it. but he falls in love with it and he throws it over and over. And that is something that you can't go to the well too many times, especially against somebody who hits very hard. That's something he needs to look out for. The problem with this fight, and I wanted to go Bukauskas so bad, just because of just because of Petrino having head movement problems and he just being so hittable, and Bukauskas has good cardio. This is another one I have to stay away from. I'm sorry I'm not helping you guys out too much with betting, but it's just that Bukauskas has a really hard time with guys that come in and throw hooks like this. Guys that pressure him and throw wide punches. He seems to get caught with those punches. He has a hard time dealing with the constant forward pressure. He's quick and he's got good combinations. He'll only throw one or two punches two punches at a time usually, but they land. He's very talented, and his cardio is going to be better. He struggles with this particular type of fighter. It's, Roundtree pressured him and put him away, and then I think Jimmy Crute might have done the same thing, and it's like, he just struggles with the hooks. He struggles with somebody who pressures him like that. I got to stay away from it because I feel like if Petrino could put him away, could put him away earlier because he hits hard and stuff. I feel like if it goes past like the halfway mark in this fight, then you got to really start leaning Bukauskas. So that might be a live bet that you start looking at because he's got good cardio. And then Petrino's going to start becoming even more and more hittable. I think I'm going to wait. I think I'm going to look at the live odds halfway through this bad boy, and if I'm liking what I see, I might jump on it then. But the under 2.5 is -133. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible bet if because Petrino hits like a motherfucker, and Bukauskas has been put away a couple times early with this particular type of striker. So, maybe even Petrino by TKO. I don't know what the odds are on that, but that might not be a bad bet. I personally am staying away from it. Do what you want. Let's see. We have Dos Santos versus Renat Fakhretdinov. I don't even know how to say it. I don't care, but what I do know, the guy is an absolute stud. This is another dude. This is such a good fight card. Like, sometimes these fight night fight cards are the absolute best. Like, this guy is, in my opinion, one of the best young. I mean, he's not even young. He's got a lot of fights. I mean, he's on a huge fight win streak, but one of the best newer guys into the UFC on the roster. Fakhretdinov. He's got a great jab. He sets a lot of stuff up with his jab. He's got he uses his striking to set up his takedowns. I like that about him. Obviously being that style fighter myself. But I like how he works off of his jab. And I think that's going to be a big key in this fight. I think, I love how he controls, when he gets his takedowns, he controls with, wrist control. He's always engaging. He's always engaging with like squeezing his legs or controlling the wrist. And that's like a huge, huge factor in actually controlling people and holding them down. Like if you see some of these guys, and I have a tendency to do it myself. I like to float a little bit, give guys a little bit of space, let them move, and then react off of that. Sometimes guys get away like that, but sometimes you can really advance your position and get to an advantageous position. I think that Fakhretdinov, this is like more conducive for holding people down in mixed martial arts. It's a little bit. I mean, it's a little bit. They're different styles, but he always is engaging. He's engaging with his legs, or he has wrist control. He's trapping the wrist, 1-on-1, 2-on-1, climbing the body, and really holding people down with a lot of pressure, and that's tough. It's somebody like when you think about Nurmagomedov, you think about like someone like Gilbert Burns, like why they can hold people down so well. It's because they are always engaging. They're always squeezing with their lower body and their upper body. All their extremities are working together, He does this really well. Now, I went off on a tangent with that. Nobody cares all that much. But I will say this is like one of those, Dos Santos is one of those guys that he's very good. He is a party spoiler. And this is the type of fighter that he actually excels against. Like, dude, he has really good takedown defense. He punches really hard. He kind of throws, he likes to throw some looping punches. And he loads up with his power a little bit. But having said that, I'm so much on the Fakrdinov hype train. I forgot about him, then I saw him on the card, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's, I love watching this guy fight. I'm going with him by decision. I just think he's very talented. I think he's going to take it. I think he's going to get some takedowns. I think he's going to be able to hold Dos Santos down, unlike some other people have been able to do. I think he's going to be able to get the takedowns with his doubles. And he's very explosive when he gets those, and he's got a good gas tank. So I'm with him on this one. I think that this is just another great fight. This is a great fight card. So let's see who we got next. Where are we at here? Armin Petrosian versus Rodolfo Vieira. Man, it's a pick'em. -110, -110, under 2.5, -162, over 2.5, +132. I am going. I'm going the under on this fight. I don't know, man. Petrosian's slick on his feet. I love the way he works. I love the things that he does on his feet. I love his footwork. Obviously, he looked great against RoboCop. He's slick. He's a slick striker. Vieira, obviously, it's the classic striker versus grappler matchup. Vieira is an amazing grappler, not a very good striker. Very strong guy. One thing I don't like is I don't like how Petrosian gives his back up when he's getting up, when he's standing up off the ground. I do think that Vieira's going to find a way to get this to the ground. I could see it being like he might be able to get his hands locked behind the butt. I don't know. He doesn't have the greatest takedowns, but one thing that he will do is that he will literally push somebody against the cage with a single or wrap around the waist, and he will fall to like a half guard and then try and get like a half guard sweep. I could see him doing that, getting on top, and then finishing with a submission. I'm leaning Rodolfo Vieira just because I think that skill for skill, I think he's better on the ground than Petrosian is standing, if that makes sense. And I mean, it doesn't have to make sense. It's like MMA math, But I think that he can get it to the ground, and I think if he gets it to the ground once, I think that he can finish the fight, if that makes sense. One thing that did impress me about Petrosian is when he fought Caio, he did well fighting off the choke from his back. I do think that Vieira is probably a better finisher than Caio, and so there you have it. Now, next fight, Magomedov versus Caio. This is a tough one. I've seen both of these guys fight in the past. I didn't even watch film on it this time. Magomedov, I've watched a lot of his fights. So I even watched him when I think he was in the PFL. I watched all of his fights then. Caio, when he came in, I watched all his fights. One thing I will say, Magomedov, I didn't like how he kind of gassed with Sean Strickland. It's a little, like he started off super strong and then he kind of faded really fast and really hard. I don't like that. I think that Caio is going to take this. I would even look for a possible submission. And the reason being is because I like the way that he throws his strikes to get into his takedowns. He's good everywhere. He's a very good prospect. He's another one of these guys that I feel like is an actual legit prospect. I think that he is going to be able to use his strikes to get into his takedowns, clean entries, get the takedowns, and then kind of ride it out on top. So, I don't know if he'll finish him or not, but I like Caio in that fight. I just think he's the more well-rounded fighter. And to be honest, I'm not even betting on that one either. Dontel Mays versus Nascimento. I don't think either one of these guys have changed since their last fight. I felt like Nascimento was winning the exchanges on the feet. I felt like he got the takedown and got a pretty easy rear naked choke. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going Nascimento. I don't, the guys have already fought once, and it was, I thought it was pretty decently one-sided. I mean, he looked like he was winning the exchanges to me, and he got the choke. He's got good takedowns. I don't think Mays has the greatest takedown defense. I don't think either one of these guys have really changed much, so we'll stick with that. Bonfim versus Dalby. This is, I don't want to disrespect Dalby at all, but I do think Bonfim is a pretty well-rounded guy. One thing that I would look for in this fight is, and this is I just think Dalby's being a little disrespected here with the plus 425 and Bonfim with the minus 600. I understand that he's good. I mean, I like the over 1.5. The over 1.5's minus 130. I mean, I don't know. Dalby's an excellent fighter. He's well-rounded. He's shown skill everywhere. I just don't think he's going to get steamrolled. And Bonfim he's solid. He's very well-rounded, but he gets a little wild on his feet, and I think Dalby stays a little tighter. I think this could be a little more competitive than people think on the feet, but I do think that Bonfim's going to end up getting a takedown, possibly getting a submission. I'm going to stay away from those. I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to stay away from betting that altogether too. I mean, I only made a couple of bets on this card, so and that's how I kind of do it. I don't bet a lot of fights. I do pretty well, but I only make a few bets on a card unless I just have a great feeling about a lot of the fights. So the very last fight, Derek Lewis versus Almeida. Almeida. Who knows? I am going to tell you a little story about Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis actually, when he was in LFA, before he was in the UFC, fought one of my good friends and teammates who was an amazing wrestler, Jared Rochelle, who was an amazing wrestler. And Jared kept taking him down. He kept getting up, and then he ended up TKOing Jared. Before that fight, just thought, I was like, oh man, there's no way Jared could lose this guy. He doesn't have good takedown defense. And I ate crow, and I've never doubted him since. And I just like Derek Lewis. I like the way he fights. He's the polar opposite of me. Let me ask you a question. Let me put it to you like this. So this is a striker versus grappler type of fight. Derek Lewis has struggled a little bit with body locks and stuff like that, and he gets taken down. Now, Almeida does a good job at moving from the takedown to side control to mount to the back and choking people out. I don't see him getting that. He has a very a very structured progression in his grappling. He passes, he goes to mount, and then he takes. Derek Lewis, the way that he pushes off, the way that he positions himself and kind of shrimps his hip and pushes off, and he's got enough power, he will get up. Now, do you think that Almeida has a good? He shoots a double leg, but he shoots it straight to his knees. Who has a better double leg? Curtis Blades or Almeida? I see this being like Curtis Blades number 2. I'm taking Derek Lewis. He's plus 395. Come on, man, with the disrespect. Jesus Christ, taking Derek Lewis for the KO. Anyways, that's that. These fights are actually about to start. This is the way too late fight breakdown. I hope you guys see this, and I always I like to do this because I like looking for these. What if during the fight you have a question about a fight? Well, here you go. Look at this. I'll catch you guys next week. I'll post a little bit earlier next week, and don't bitch to me if you lose.